Wait for the darkness to commence. Love niggas in the field. Fuck them niggas Shalom. I'm Officer of 50s Abaja of the I.S.U.P.K. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Today we're going to be talking about brotherhood, or tonight, shall I say. Tonight we're going to be teaching about brotherhood and how brotherhood can save the city of Toronto, specifically blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It will stop and put an end to gun violence within our communities. Excuse me. Okay. So, we're going to be talking about gun violence, and brotherhood will put an end to the gun violence within Toronto. This is for all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is a class that needs to be watched, right? Gun violence is plaguing Toronto, right? And only because of COVID at the moment is why the numbers for gun violence aren't so high. Nobody's really outside in the city right now, but the gun violence is still happening, right? So let's give the Most High a hand, right, for the plagues, because of these plagues, the gun violence it's not happening as much as it would without the plagues, where it is as if the bars and the clubs and all the places and venues that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans like to frequent in the GTA, they're not open, so there's not as much shootings happening, right? And that's not to say that all of the gun violence in the city is happening because of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But we definitely play a part in the gun violence within the city. Hey, Shalom, Officer Shariwan. YAHANNA, Sharabakata. Water for checking in. Right, so we're going to get into it. Let's see. It's interesting, too, because last night the priests and prophets were out in the city, right? The men who wear fringes the correct way. The only authorized men in the city of Toronto who are authorized to teach the Bible, right? We were outside last night trying to get something to eat, and it just so happens that the route that we took to go get something to eat, we walked by some yellow tape, major crimes, and guns and gangs was outside, right, in their unmarked uniforms. They had the area of St. Jamestown taped off, right? St. Jamestown is an area in Cabbagetown, that's Sherburne, that's Bleecker, right, where gun violence is heavy within the downtown core, right? Especially in the known drug areas. Unfortunately, because our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, there are areas where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans live that are just known for drugs. The oppressor in the 70s and the 80s, and as well as the 60s, Salakia for doing those dates out of line, but the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, the oppressor went on a campaign to make sure blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans do not progress in life. They didn't want us to progress in life. They dumped drugs in our community, right? With the drugs being dumped in our community, that took mothers and fathers out of the home. With no father in the house, children run wild. With no father in the house, the streets become their father. I know this personally. When there's no man in the house, when there's no righteous man, and let's not just leave it at a man, because there are men who are pedophiles. And sisters choose these men all the time. And these men, once they get bored with that sister, they start looking at the daughter. Right? So without a righteous man in the house, the male boys, the streets become their fathers. The rappers become their uncles and their role models. Right? Drug dealers in the neighborhood tell them what to do. right? So last night there was a shooting in St. Jamestown, which is Bleecker, right? So we're gonna get into it for a quick second. Give me one moment. All right, so I'm gonna share this screen right quick with you. If you can't see the screen properly, the share screen properly, just put it in the chat. Officer Yaraj, Shalom, Yahweh, Shana, Shabbat, to all for tuning in. Bear with me one moment. Okay. Oh, snap. Salaki, I thought I got in you. Hey, Shalom, Shalom,
Shalom.
Yahweh,
Yabashim Shabbat.
All right, so what we got here is this is a shooting that happened last night in Bleecker, which would be St. Jamestown. That is not the Jamestown in Rexdale, but it's damn near the same thing because the same thing happens. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are being shot in these neighborhoods, being sold drugs, and are selling drugs, right? So we're going to get into it right quick. Man taken to hospital after shooting in St. Jamestown. This is from CP24.com. That's City Pulse, 24 hours, right? A man in his 20s has been seriously injured in a shooting in St. Jamestown. Emergency crews were called to Wellesley Street and Bleecker Street, east of Sherburne Street, around 8 p.m. Saturday for reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they located a man suffering from gunshot wounds to his lower extremities. Toronto paramedics said he was taken to a trauma center in serious but non-life-threatening condition. The suspect fled the area on foot. Police said no description has been released. Let's see if we got anything else. That's about it, right? So, Toronto police operations, they put out a tweet last night. Shooting Wellesley and Bleecker, 8:01. Reports of person shot. Police are on the scene have located a man suffering from a gunshot wound. Right? And this is very common in the city. This is Slovakia. If you're black and Hispanic, if you're black, Hispanic, and Native American, this is just common in your life. Every black, Hispanic, and Native American knows someone who's been shot.
Right.
Right? Like I haven't met a black, Hispanic, or Native American person yet who doesn't know someone who's been shot, right? Or murdered due to gun violence. A lot of times this gun violence happens over things this gun violence happens over things that are very trivial, right? One of the biggest things that gun violence, like It would have to be a man sleeping with another man's wife,
Right.
right? Sleeping with another man's wife, a man finds out, oh, you slept with his wife, and now he wants to kill you. He wants to shoot you dead, right? I had a video, but I'm not gonna play it at the moment, right? So sleeping with another man's wife, he wants to shoot you dead, right? If it's not sleeping with another man's wife, it's over drugs. It's over
That's
drugs, right? One brother has a trap spot that's booming. He's doing numbers and making money, right? I said that to say this. There was an artist in the city who had a song and it was about his trap shop, his trap spot booming. Smoke Dog. His name was Smoke Dog, Eastern Region Park. He was a victim of gun violence. This brother had the potential to do big things when it came to music coming out of the city of Toronto. He was Toronto's Pop Smoke before Pop Smoke. We knew about a Pop Smoke. A few summers ago, he was a victim of gun violence. Right. So a lot of times it's over drugs. If it's not over drugs, it's over a misunderstanding. Right. I'll give you a little history about Toronto culture. Right. Back in, let's say, the 2007s to 2010s, there was in Regent Park you had two groups of blacks and Hispanics, right? One one group of blacks and Hispanics was the older generation, and they were a music group. The younger generation was also a music group. They did, meaning they rapped, right? And with them rapping, right? The older the how the story goes, the man from the older generation of rappers, he slept with a a gang member who's younger than him. This is the same gang though. That caused a divide in the gang and a long war. That the effects of this war, that these two gangs split and started fighting. This one gang split and started fighting each other. The effects of this war is still going on till today, right? And that was over one brother sleeping with another brother's rib, right? So adultery does play a heavy part in the gun violence that happens. And from there comes the third reason why gun violence happens. Gun violence happens in the city of Toronto because gun violence is happening, right? That might sound confusing, but what it is, a brother in the world, he has to go bury his brother that was murdered. That brother who's burying his brother, his only motivation now is to go and Slovakia, if I'm breaking up, that brother, his motivation is to now go and murder the people who shot him up, who shot up his brother, who murdered his brother. So that means he's going to go shoot a neighborhood up, and anybody walking outside is going to get shot at random. This has been happening, right? Just a while ago, there was a 12-year-old girl who was, now I'm not sure if this girl was an Israelite or an oppressor. Nevertheless, there was a 12-year-old girl who was shot in the community of Jane and Finch. Some man walked up to her door and started shooting through the door. Who knows what this young man was who knows who he was looking for. Reports are saying that this young man was shot and he was as well in that incident, right? Now the city news, they don't really go into detail when it comes to gun violence, but if you know, you just have to know someone from the areas where this gun violence is happening, and you'll get the full story. Everyone knows what's happening in their neighborhoods. It's just no one's willing to speak up about it, right? There aren't any strong brothers willing to say, stop this violence, right? No one's going to the perpetrators of this violence and saying, stop this violence. So the violence just continues, and it continues. Brothers are going to jail. Brothers are losing their lives. Sisters are being distraught. Sons and daughters are growing up without fathers, right? And this is just the trend. The only way we're going to stop this these classes right here, right? You listen to myself, Officer Shariwan, Officer Darash, Officer Urad, and the men above us, Officer Aban, Officer 5,000 Aban, and Officer 500 Ariyar, and the violence will stop. Right? Everybody gets into this class and does 90 days, the violence will stop overnight. With the snap of a finger, the violence is kaput. It's not happening. Salakia. Right? So, with that said, we're going to go into some scriptures, and then we got some more things we could read on this topic, right? For those that don't know, gun violence, Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, it's a curse, right? Salakia, Officer Shariwan, Baba Kashak, can you bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 1?
Kind this is
Salakia.
20. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, that the Lord thy God will put thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Can you, Baba Kashak, can you read it one more time from to observe? Salakia, are you there? Can you hear me?
Salakia, can you hear me okay?
Khan, we're just breaking up just a little.
Okay, John.
It was just a little jumbled up, and like it cut out for a second. But can you read again from to observe and do all his commandments, Baba Kashar?
John. To observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day.
Right. So we're supposed to observe and do the Most High's commandments. That, right? 1 second. But we're supposed to do and observe his commandments. Once we do his commandments, we're going to be the greatest nation on the earth. We already are the greatest nation on the earth. We're just going through it because we don't want to listen to our father, right? Just like any child who doesn't listen to their mother or father, you go on punishment. The oppression we're facing right now is our punishment. Salakia, give me one moment, right? So, Baba Kasha, can you keep reading?
God, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right? So we'll be high above all nations on the earth, right? I'm gonna jump to Exodus 20 and 13 right now because Officer Shayuan just told you you have to observe and do the Lord's commandments to be high above all the nations of the earth, right? So we're gonna jump to Exodus 20 and 13. The Lord's commandment. You're seeing the reasons. Like we're gonna start and read, but within these commandments, you can see all the gun violence in the community, right? So let's get to it. Exodus 20 and 13, thou shalt not kill, right? Like, brothers aren't supposed to be shooting, trying to murder each other, right? With guns or knives or with hand-to-hand combat. Brothers aren't supposed to be fighting each other, right? Now, that doesn't mean that thou shalt not kill. A man breaks into your house and you have to defend your family. And in the defense of your family, that man's life is taken. Because if you don't take his, he's gonna take yours. And do Lord knows what to your wife and to your children. Right? But thou shalt not kill. And like we said earlier, a lot of gun violence within the city of Toronto is caused by adultery. Right? You jump down one verse, verse 14, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? And we're going to leave it at that for a moment. Officer Shah, can you, do you still have Deuteronomy 20:15?
Con.
Con. Can you keep, Salakia? No, we're reading verse 1. Read, did you finish verse 1?
Con. I read to the end of verse 1.
Con. Jump down to 15, Baba Kasha.
Con. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Hold it right there, Ak. Right? So it shall happen. This will happen. Right? This shall come to pass is definitely going to happen. The Lord doesn't go back on his word. If he gave you curses, those curses will happen until you come back to where he wants you to be. It shall happen. Read on, Baba Gashar.
To observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. So the commandment, thou shalt not kill, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans didn't want to listen to that. Killing our brothers is a curse. Right? Like, it's twofold. Killing our brother is a sin, and killing our brothers is a curse that we go through. These are curses that we're going through. And I'm going to break it down for you, right? So, for not following the commandment would be cursed, right? Baba Kashar, read verse 16.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Come on, read it one more time for me.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
Right? Shootings in the ghetto is what, Ak?
Cursed in the city.
Right? So you have it right there. All the shootings that are happening in your neighborhoods, that is a curse that you go through in the city. Right? When the police roll up on you and shoot you, that is a curse we going through the city. Right? Now, hip hop music, like everyone loves hip hop music. We love all the hip hop music we can listen to. It just puts us in a different space, right? But at the same time, a lot of the music that we listen to is just on the rah rah. It's just on the kill a brother vibe, right? And we want to listen to that. Salaki, it's deeper than just listening to it, right? Brothers in these communities, these black, Hispanic, and Native communities, they want to kill their brothers, right? In the city of Toronto, they say head tap, right? They want to shoot their brothers in the hood, in the head, but then get mad when the police do it to us, right? That's absolutely nuts. It's very insane that a brother will be mad that the police, the oppressor, shot another brother in the head, but that same brother wants to smoke all the weed he can, sell all the drugs he can, and go kill his brother.
Right.
Right? So curse will be in the city. Right? Salakia, jump down to verse 54 and hold that right there.
Con.
Sure. Hey, Shalom, Maki, how about you, Shabbat?
Hey, Shalom, YAHANNA, Salakia, what's going on?
God, we just trying to get it in right quick. We're breaking down the brotherhood is going to put an end to gun violence.
God. Yeah, Salakia for my I was watching on my TV the class, but because my computer went down, so I'm resetting it right now. So I'm streaming off. Yeah, God. So I'm streaming off my phone for now. So yeah, Salakia.
You could be streaming off a satellite in space. It wouldn't matter as long as you're in here, right?
God.
Like, so, God, it's no sweat.
God, appreciate it. Even my phone's kind of giving me issues because it's an older version, so I was having issues connecting as well. But it's all to what right now. It seems to be working. You guys can hear me okay? So that's all that matters.
Con.
Come on, I can hear you. I can hear you well. So I got
So,
something else for you. We're gonna go into. We got some time. We're gonna go into some more scripts, and then we're gonna. But I got an article. I got a few things we're gonna read that we're gonna touch on, right? Because it's just so interesting that last night, walking back to the walking back to our route to get food, we had to walk past a gun violence scene, right? Someone shot someone in the community of Bleecker, and we walked right by it. Not to say that we witnessed the shooting because we didn't witness Jack, right? But we seen the aftermath of the violence in the community. And okay, so police know that these communities are targeted for gun violence and gun violence happens. A lot of times they go into the communities and they target the community instead of trying to protect to serve the community, right?
right.
Because these police, they're devils, and they know they don't give a damn about the community. They want they want the brother who got shot to go out and shoot somebody, right?
Right.
Because if he doesn't go out and shoot somebody, they don't have a job, right? If gun violence isn't happening in the city of Toronto, major crimes and guns and gangs task force aren't going to be a task force anymore. So they don't want it to stop. They know at what times to patrol these neighborhoods, but it just so happens at the peak gun violence times, because broad daylight
They don't
shootings
want it
in
to
the city
stop.
of Toronto
They
don't
know
really
at
happen
what
as
time.
often. So, like, I'm getting feedback from somebody. Right? So broad daylight shootings in the city of Toronto don't happen as often as nighttime shootings. In the nighttime, you never find police in your neighborhood. 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you see a PSRT cruiser riding around and trying to pull you over to ask you for your ID. Right? So we went through and we told you that thou shalt kill. Now we're going to go into the mayor of the city, John Tory, the mayor who used to sell weed, right? The same mayor who used to sell weed, he admitted it, that he used to sell weed. He's not for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He used to, when weed was illegal, he used to sell weed by the pound on boats. He said he was just a teenager. But now this man is the mayor of the city of Toronto, and we're supposed to believe that he cares about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right? So we're going to go into what he said about gun violence in the city. One second. Okay. So we have it. Gangs taunt on social media, retaliation to blame for spike in Toronto shootings, Tory says. Right? So they're basically saying that these kids, they don't have the common sense not to put their crimes on social media and not to talk about their crimes on social media. That is a trend with the so-called millennials, right? Where they go do something like, for example, during the George Floyd riots, people were filming themselves breaking into stores, right? Now we could turn around. We fast forward. Violence happens in the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American communities, and the first thing a brother wants to do is jump on social media and talk about it, right? That's the first thing they want to do, and they think that the police are not watching, right? But that's what we're gonna get into right now. The police are watching, right? And they're taking notes, and they're kicking doors in, and you gotta go do time, years, right? Elevated levels of gang activity are behind the recent spike in violent crimes in Toronto that saw 3 people shot to death in a little over a 24-hour span. Mayor John Tory says from 7 p.m. on Monday night to 10:30 p.m. Tuesday evening, Michael Opon Birchie, Cam Thon Tat, and Yet to be identified third man was shot and killed on the streets of the city. Now I'm not sure if any of these men mentioned are Israelites, right? That's not the point. Gang violence is definitely targeting Israelites. Gun violence in the city of Toronto is definitely targeting Israelites, right? No arrest has been made in the three homicides, right? So they haven't caught anybody, right? Now you expect a a black Hispanic man, black Hispanic Native American man growing up in the ghetto, you expect him, especially in the world, you expect him to walk around his neighborhood that's being targeted for gun violence and random shootings, to not have a gun and try to protect himself, right? If he's not in this school, he's not gonna understand that it's not good or righteous to have an unlicensed firearm, right? Many brothers fall victim to that. Well, I'd rather do time in jail than be in a casket mentality, right? So falling victim to that mentality has our brothers being killed more and has our brothers going to jail more. No arrests have been made in any of the three homicides. There have been 9 murders in the city since the start of the year, right? 9 murders since January 1st to February 10th, 2001, when this article was published. Um, Including a shooting on Saturday that left a 20-year-old man dead, 21-year-old man dead. We're seeing again elevated levels of what I understand to be principally gang-related activity with retaliations going on, right? And that's what we were talking about for the third, right? The third reason why gun violence is happening in the city of Toronto. Gun violence is happening because gun violence is happening, right? So that means a brother sees or hears his brother gets murdered, he wants to go kill anything walking outside. 10 times, 15 times out of 10, he gets in a stolen car with an unregistered firearm and he goes and shoots up who he believes the rival neighborhood of, his family's killer is. Right, so let's get more into it. Mm. With a lot of this going on social media, which is unusual now, but you get this taunting going on, which is not an excuse for it, right? In the city of Toronto, brothers will go shoot up a neighborhood and make a song about it, right? Pressa made a song about his friend called Debiana. His friend was killed by police. He was wanted for 2 murders, right? He was wanted for 2 murders and he was in the club district. I don't know what he was doing in the club district when he was wanted for 2 murders. He decided to go to the club district. The police seen him. They tried to apprehend him after he had a Canada-wide warrant, and his face plastered all over the news. And they got into a shootout. They shot him dead. He was better off turning himself in and going to do life in jail, right? But they shot him dead, right? Social media taunting, where Toronto rappers are making songs about killing of another brother, right?
Right.
1 second. Which is not an excuse for it, Tory told CP24 Wednesday. 20 people have been killed or injured by gunfire in the city so far this year. The exact same number was documented by this post in 2020. That is crazy, right? Now, these aren't the Chicago numbers where you have 300 or 400 people murdered in 1 year, but 20 murders of gun violence in the city of Toronto, in a place where guns aren't sold as frequently as they are in America, that is a lot of killing. And that is not even the number of the year of the gun killings in 2005, right? Uh, the exact same number was documented by this point in 2020 and lower than in 2016. 31 people were hit by gunfire in the first 6 weeks of the year. Tory said interim police chief James Ramier has been quite effective in securing guns and making arrests. Right, so that lets you know they are storming Black, Hispanics, and Native American communities, and you could have they're arresting anyone Black, they're stopping everyone Black, right? You see it. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, you know about cops or police in your community on four-wheelers. You know about police in your community rolling through 15 deep on bikes or on horses and stopping you.
Right.
There continues to be a problem with people who are arrested, often in connection with firearms charges, who are let out on bail and offend again, he said. Right? So what they're trying to say is because the bail is, they're making it seem like bail in the city of Toronto is easy to get for a gun charge. To be realistic, it's not. But they're making it seem like, oh, every time we give someone bail, that person goes out and shoots someone. That is rare. That is not really happening. Because even to get out on bail, and I'm gonna speak from personal experiences, to get out on bail on a firearms charge, you need an ankle monitor, right? They're not finding a firearm on you and saying you can go out on bail without an ankle monitor. They stopped doing that since 2006. Right. So for them to say bail is the reason why this gun violence is happening, it's extremely not. Because Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are in poverty, that's why this gun violence happens. Right. So let's get back into it. Right. So they're saying there continues to be a problem with people who are arrested, often in connection with firearm charges, who are let out on bail and offend again, he said. Criminal lawyers have criticized this observation, saying it's oversimplification. Right? That's exactly what I just said. Where they're making it seem like if that's the main issue, right? When if you have 100 men who get bail on firearms charges, you might have five who go out and shoot, and if they're not on ankle monitors. Tory said the sustained levels of gun violence in the city pose a challenge for the movement to defund police services. While I understand the need for police reforms, right, and we'll just hold it right there. The defund police is because the police is really a gang who are trying to go outside and battle other gangs, and the police they don't respect their law that they're supposed to uphold. Right? That's why they're talking about police reforms. Right? So let's continue. And we are underway on those in a very significant way. You have to ask yourself a question. If we need more neighborhood officers walking in the area of all of the time, and not just showing up when something bad happened, how are you going to pay for that? Right? The answer to Tory's question is, John Tory, you get $15 an hour, and all you politicians get $50 an hour, and that's how you pay for it. Right? These are men who make like 100 grand a year, and they get to sit up and talk about nonsense and act like they care. Right? So we're gonna leave that right there. Officer Shariwan, can you get me Deuteronomy 28:58? Officer Urad, can you get me 1 John 4:20? Baba Kashar.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 58. If thou wilt not observe.
Baba Kashar, that's my fault. I meant to say 54.
Okay, Khan. Slakia, verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
Hold that right there. he shall kill his brother, right? He's gonna sleep with his brother's wife, right? When you don't listen to the Most High and the laws, you go through the curses, right? As Officer Shayu was reading that the ten that so that the man that is tender and among you and very delicate, right? The Black Hispanics and Native American, traditionally we are loving people, right? That's why so many of us fall victim to the Christian church because we think we gotta love everybody because we just have a love spirit. We want to love our brothers and sisters, right? But because we're going through curses of not following the Most High, the man that's tender among us, he's now a murderer, right? There used to be a saying in the city of Toronto, right? All the dancer youths are gunmen now. That should let you know the vibe, the that should let you know the vibe of the city of Toronto and what's happening. All the dancer youths are gunmen now, right? Meaning all the youths in the city of Toronto who used to go to the all age parties and have their groups like Mad Skills and Dainty Crime they were dancing. They would go to these parties, try to look for a sister, dance with her, and they would form a big group and they would dance and have dance competitions, sort of like Step Up, right? This was a big thing in the city. Majority of those youths now, they sell drugs and they shoot guns. If not, they're doing life in prison, right? Those were the tender men among us, right? They now have evil eyes towards their brothers. Read.
And toward the wife of his bosom, and
Salaki,
toward
was
the
that it?
remnant of his children which he shall leave.
Right? Because the black fathers aren't in the home, the children are going through it. Because the black fathers aren't in the home, Salakia, Shatas became the model guide for how to be a man in the streets, right? In Benjamite culture, Shatas was damn near a Scarface. That movie had the effect of what Scarface had. And the worst thing about that movie is they had brothers killing each other, and then the white man becomes the hero, right? The son of Bob Marley, he's the hero in the movie, right?
Right.
Baba Kasha, one more time, read that one more time, just on the
Salakia from the top.
Kana.
Okay. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave.
Right? There are no strong men in the black Hispanic community. Hey, Shalom Warrior, Yahbashim Yahshabrakatha, Kawada for checking in. Hopefully we can link up again. Big shout out to the young man Kavoy.
God,
Right?
shalom.
We got to link with our brothers yesterday, and we went to war in these streets. We were bringing it out, and Salakia, man, oh man, only if you were there. I'll leave it at that. Right? You want to go to war in these streets? I got the perfect solution for you. Get in the I.S.U.P.K. Re-Rage War. We 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 know how to wage war. Our God is a
Right.
man of war. We are the warriors of the Lord. Right? We rage so much wars that when Officer Yaraj starts to speak, Christians gotta shut up. Christians don't get to talk. Christians all they can do now is sing. And they sing and sing and sing until we decide to pack up our camp. Once we pack up our camp, that's when they want to rush the camp. Not physically rush the camp, but they want to come and start talking to us. They won't talk to us when we have the mic on. Right? But again, because we're going through curses, the delicate man that's of our nation, he hates his brother now, and he's trying to kill his brother at every chance he can get. Officer Shariwan, can you bring Salakia? Officer Uraj, did you have First John?
Khan,
Okay, 1 second. Let me catch up with you right quick so I can get it.
no sweat. I got 1 John chapter 4 and verse 20.
Khan. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to catch up with you.
No sweat.
First John 4 and 20. Khan, you can drop it when you got it.
Khan, this is the book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 20. And it reads, if a man say, I love God, and hated his brother, he's a liar. For he had loved not his brother from whom he has seen. How can he love God whom he had not seen?
Right. So this tackles gun violence right there. Right. You got to, every killer, every drug dealer, every adulterer in the city says whenever they're going through something, their first thing is God. Right?
Right.
You can't talk about how you love God if you hate your brother. You don't love God if you're going around willing to murder your brother or murder some innocent man walking down the street because he comes from the same neighborhood as the man who murdered your brother.
That's right. That's right.
Like that just doesn't happen. You have to love God, right? The only way you can love God is keeping His commandments, right?
Right.
You haven't seen God. How the hell can you love someone you haven't seen?
Right.
You see the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man in your face every day. He walks right by you. He gives you a head nod, and sometimes you give him a head nod as well, right? The oppressor will walk by you and look at you and say, you are a nigger. You won't do anything about it because you're a coward, right? Your brother will walk by and step on your shoes or not move out of your way right away when you're walking, and you want to put out a Glock 19 and shoot him 20 times, right? What you have to ask yourself is, how did that Glock 19 get into Canada when Canada doesn't make guns like that, right? Read it, Baba Kashab. Read verse Kanak.
Khan, Slack, just what you're saying so heavy. This verse is so powerful because, like, even when we were out there just the other day, you see, you and yourself and Officer Adier bringing out some things that's going on in our community,
Kanak.
and those Christians who claim to love God are hearing all these things that you guys are bringing out about the history of our people, things going on today, and it's like there's such a disconnect and lack of compassion and empathy for what's going on with our people. It's like they can't love the person that's right in front of them. They can't show love and compassion for the people that they see in the stories they hear about.
Right,
They're gonna go and sing and dance in a Christian church and say they love God.
right. That's definitely heavy, because I guarantee you that the Christian church is not going to talk about that shooting in Bleecker,
Right.
right? We were at camp yesterday. I was talking about how the Native Americans were going through it. The Christians were telling everyone else that we're unrighteous, and then they started singing. They didn't teach. Only when we packed up, they decided to teach the lies that they were taught.
Right.
And they weren't talking about the boil water advisory on the native reserves.
That's right.
So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if you're in a Christian church, run. Put on lace up your shoes and get your Usain bolt on. Run as
That's
fast as you can to the I.S.U.P.K. Message Officer Shaliwan, Officer Zabaja, myself, or even our young man Kavoy, right? And they'll tell you who to get to and where to go, right? They'll tell you, okay, wait, you want to change your life? They'll give you the number to the man who can help you change your life. You need counseling? We have that. You feel like you want to go kill somebody because one of your family members were hurt or a brother transgressed against you? You gotta call us right away. We're willing to answer your call. If I gotta go to slavery, which is what everyone else in the world calls work, employment, if I gotta go to my slavery at 8 o'clock in the morning, but my phone rings at 4:30 in the morning because a brother in the world feels like he needs to go kill someone, I'm gonna stay on that phone with that brother,
That's right.
right? And that's how we change our community. Brotherhood is gonna change our community. You have to love your brother, right? So
Damn
we're
right.
gonna go some more into it. Da, 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 da. I got some more scripts. Uh, Officer Urad, can you read 21, Baba Kashan?
God, verse 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he who love God love his brother also.
If you love your brother, you're not going to shoot him. Read that one more time. That
God, that he who loveth God
hold it right
love
there.
his God.
He who loves God is not going to commit adultery. Read it one more time.
That's right.
He Salakia, that he who loved God,
Right? He that loveth God
he
is
loved God.
not going to go to Jane and Finch and go to the Driftwood Court and try to murder some young man who's walking outside. Read it one more time and you can finish the verse, Baba Kashan.
God, verse 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also.
Right? When you love God, you love your brother. You don't love your brother. You don't love God if you're trying to go outside and murder your brother. If you are trying to give him a leg warmer, you're trying to shoot him in the leg because of some female that you're both sleeping with. Do not love do not love the devil and shoot your brother, right? Kick that female back to the streets where she belongs, right? Put her out of your mind, right? She committed adultery on you. Put her out of your mind and love your brother. Don't try to shoot him over some whore in the streets, right? Don't try to shoot your brother over a half ounce of crack cocaine. Like, are you really gonna shoot your brother over 2 grand, right? A half ounce of cocaine in the city of Toronto is not that expensive, right? You're gonna shoot your brother over light change, right? Over a building that has men smoking crack in it. That's what you're willing to kill for, right? Um, Salakia, Officer Sarywan, can you get me Ecclesiasticus 4 and 28, Baba Kasha?
Kana. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4 and verse 28. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
Salakia, one more second, let me catch up with you. You bringing out some heat right now.
That's right.
I can see your computer screen, it's on fire, right? So we're at Ecclesiasticus 4 and 28. Baba Kasha, you can hit it one more time.
Con. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, are you not tired of oppression?
Right.
Aren't you tired of all the drugs in your community? Aren't you tired of being harassed? Are you not tired of begging the oppressor for jobs and begging them for loans? Aren't you tired? Right? Read that one more time, Mark.
Strive for the truth unto death, and the
Living,
Lord.
come on, one more time. Just hit me with the up until death.
Strive for the truth unto death.
Right? You got to live in this truth. You got to put this truth in your heart. You got to make this truth your every thought, your every word. Everything you preach to your brothers and sisters is this truth. If not, and you got to do it until you die, until the Lord decides, hey, I got to bring you in for judgment. Right? Until your soul leaves your body to go up to the judgment room to stand before the Lord for your actions on earth. Right? Strive in this truth, and when you stand before the Lord in the judgment room, the Lord is going to be pleased with you. Right? Not striving in this truth is killing your brother. Right? Loading up a gun, you got to think of the mentality of just let's think about it for a second. Right? To get away with gun violence, you got to literally go get latex gloves. Right? Buy a box of bullets and a gun in the city of Toronto costs like $6,000. Think about all the money you have to put up just to go get a gun to go kill somebody. Then you have to physically know that I'm going to put on these latex gloves and load every bullet into the chamber, into the clip or the magazine. Right? And you do it consciously knowing that you're about to go shoot someone. You have the latex gloves because you don't want your bullets on any of the things. You don't want your fingerprints on any of the bullets. That is such a terrible thing for Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans to do to each other. Right? Slovakia. Can you continue reading, Baba Shah?
Verse 29.
Oh,
Be not
Slovakia. What was the end of it? Read 28 one more time.
con.
Before we
Strive.
continue, Officer Urad, get me Genesis 4, verse 9, Baba Kasha.
Con.
Slovakia, you can continue reading.
This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 28. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
You getting this truth? You getting this truth? You decide you're gonna love your brother instead of murder him, and the Lord is gonna fight for you. Right? Abraham was told that he who cursed him will be cursed. I'm paraphrasing, but the Lord will fight his enemies. That's basically what Abraham was told. Right? You strive in the truth until death, and the Lord will make sure that you're not going through oppression. Right? So I got something right quick. We're gonna go through this quickly. Um, and just before we continue, shout out to the IPM for showing up for camp yesterday. Yesterday was Tawab. That was one of that was a real good camp. Like we're working on that boot kiss. We about to get those boot kiss popping, man. Like the IPM, y'all did some real good work, right? I printed a whole bunch of flyers, and the young warrior Kavoy, he got rid of every single one of them. Right? We were bringing that heat yesterday, so let's get a hand for the Akim clap yesterday.
Christ.
All right, so let's see what we got first. Okay, so we got shooting discharges. shooting and firearm discharges. This is from the police board, right? They have a website where you can go on their website and check out all the stats of shootings happening in Toronto, right? So it literally goes by the years, right? Shooting firearm discharges, right? So in 2016, 76 discharges were reported. 2017, 68, and we're just going to keep going. 2018, 66, 57 in 2019, 85 in 2020. Oh, goddamn. That's crazy. Wasn't 2020 a lockdown? Wasn't it a pandemic? Right?
Right.
Yet still, we have more shootings and discharges reported than in 2016 when there wasn't no pandemic. 2021, we're not even 6 months in, and it's half the number of 2020. Right? Now let's go to persons killed, injured by injury level. 2016, for persons killed, we have 10. Injury level was 30. Right? And this is basically the gun violence with his death and injuries. Right? In 2008, we had 8 deaths of gun violence, 24 injured. 2007, 2017 is 8, 2018 is 7, 25, right? The greater number being just the injuries. The lower number is the deaths. 2019, 9, 25. 2020, for persons killed or injury level, we have 9 and 30. 2021, 9 and 17, right? And it's only half the year, so you could best believe that it's going to be double what it's not double, but it's going to be higher than 2021. The total events they have in 2021, 47 persons killed or injured, 26, which is about 33%, right? So now let's get to the next one. We got a next one really quick. Right? So I'm going to get to the last one, and then we got some more scriptures to go through. Right? And again, Akim, if y'all want to chime in, you already know, chime in when you want. It's like we're here to wake up our peoples. Right? So anytime the Akim want to chime in, you can chime in.
God, no sweat.
What do we got here? Salaki, I'm gonna share one more. Salaki, you said something?
Okay, I'm just saying I'm back. Salaki.
Oh, okay, fine.
Con.
Alright, so we got shootings and firearm discharges overview. Reporting period 2004 to 2020. Right? And this information is easy to find. You just got to type it in on Google. You really just got to type in Toronto shooting stats and everything pops up. The police put out a report every year of how many discharges happen, right? So let's go to 2005, which they dubbed the year of the gun. Right? Shootings and firearm discharges per year. 2005, we had a reported, these are reported discharges, right? There's more shootings in the city, just not everything gets reported. Right? Sometimes men are shot, and depending on the class of firearm people are using, there might not be no shell casings on the scene. But you might hear someone walks into the hospital with what they think is a gunshot wound, meaning that man was shot. Someone shot him and he made it to the hospital. Right. 2005, we had a total of, Slovakia, 1 second. We have a total of 262 people being reports of firearm discharges, right? If you jump to 2016, now you have a total of 407. 2017, 392. 2018, 427, like the highway, right? 2019, you have 492. 2020, 462 reports of firearm discharges, right? If you go to Slovakia, let's get down a second. In 2005, persons killed and injured was 53 people killed, 178 people injured. 2016, we have 41, 152. 2000, Slovakia. We're going to leave it there for a second. This website is causing a bit of difficulty.
Slovakia.
Con.
What was the number of deaths in 2020 from gun violence?
Slovakia, give me a moment. I'm going to get it. I just have to refresh. Slovakia, I got to refresh right quick. This website's acting kind of weird. Like it doesn't want to bring it out. Right, I'm going to get back to it in a second. Just give it a second. Let it reload.
Gone.
Right. Officer Rod, bring me to Genesis 4 and 9. Salakia, Officer Shah, you want give me 1 second? I'm gonna get that number for you.
Gone, huh?
Okay.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
Right, hold that right there. So, okay, Khan, no sweat, Right, so Cain murdered his brother. This is the first recorded murder. Right, he murdered his brother. The Lord was checking him on murdering his brother, and he said, "Where's thy brother?" And Cain said, "Is he his brother's keeper?" You are your brother's keeper. You got to make sure your brother is not murdered. You got to make sure he's doing everything possible to be a righteous man. Right? So let's see if I can get those numbers for you. Right? Continue reading.
Gone. Verse 10. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Verse 11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which had opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Verse 12. When thou tillest
Wait,
the
hold that
ground.
right there, Bro Kashan. Salakia. Right? So every time a black, Hispanic, or Native American man is killed, his blood cries up to the Lord. The Lord hears his blood. His blood speaks to the Lord. Right? And over time you can see, right, that the shootings, they just keep getting worse. Right? And it's no joke that the city of Toronto needs brotherhood right now. Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we need brotherhood right now. It just gets totally worse, right? Like young man Kavoy told me that he said you could see that the shootings are getting worse, right? Throughout a young man from tuning into class, right? The shootings just get worse, and the only thing that's going to stop these shootings is brotherhood. If you don't treat your brother how you want to be treated, you're going to you're going to be a victim of gun violence, right? Officer Shariwan, can you get me Luke 6 and 31?
Uh,
And for your answer, you wanted the murders for 2020. In 2020, we have 39 murders, which is gun violence murders. That's not all the murders in the city, but 39 gun violence murders, and that is still a high number. It was a pandemic, and you have 39 murders. 2019, 2018, 2018 we had 51. 2004, 2019 we had 44. 2020, 39. And it's a pandemic. The numbers went down, but not as much as you think it would be when you have to be inside. That's because no one was inside in the city of Toronto. Everyone was outside.
Can't the water for that.
No sweat.
So, Salakia, what was the chapter and verse?
Bro Kashar, can you get me Luke 6 and 31?
6. Okay. This is the book of Luke, chapter 6, and verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
Right? So you gotta wanna do, like, you don't wanna get murdered walking down the street, right? Why the hell you trying to murder somebody? You don't wanna hear if your brother got shot, right? Why are you trying to shoot another man's brother? You don't want your mom to have to cry about you being murdered and have to go through the debt of putting up a funeral for you because we don't have life insurance. Why are you trying to make another man's mom cry? Brett? Like Salakia. Everyone wants to give their mom a gift on Mother's Day. That's because they're not in the truth. Right? The same man who's gonna load up a Glock 21 or Glock 28 and put a 50-round drum in it and go shoot up the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, that's the same man that's gonna go to Hallmark or go to Dollarama or go to Shoppers Drug Mart and get a Mother's Day card for his mother. He doesn't want his mother to go through the pain of losing a brother, but he's gonna go and put another man's mother through that same pain. right? You got to treat your brother how you want to be treated. That is the only way that we're going to end gun violence in the city of Toronto. Read that one more time for me, Baba Kashan.
Verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
Right? You don't want to get killed. Don't try to kill anybody. Right? It's that simple. You don't want to get murdered. Stop trying to murder people. Officer Urad, can you get me Matthew 25, verse 40? Baba Kashan.
God. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 30. And it reads, Salakia, verse 40. Matthew 25 and verse 40. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of these, Salakia, of one of these least of these my brethren. Salakia, let me just rewind, go back, read that again. Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
Right? So that Officer Urad, break that down right quick.
God. Meaning Christ shall answer and say unto anyone that's that's pretty much has helped the I.S.U.P.K, whether it be any man in the I.S.U.P.K with, like, for instance, just preparing meals for them, or any kind of help, you know what I mean, like helping out in the truth, more or less, right?
Huh.
Helping out in the truth, helping out the man in the truth, so this truth can get out there. Christ is saying, "You have helped me," more or less, right?
Khan. You are definitely right about how you broke it down there, but make it relatable to what we're talking about right now.
Also, Khan, um, so say as much, if you treat somebody the way you have treated somebody, if you treat somebody with honor and respect, or whether you treat them with not by keeping the commandments, you're basically doing it unto Christ. You're treating your Black and Hispanic brothers, and with content, and because they're also Christ's people, right? So if you treat somebody like that, you're basically doing it to Christ, whether it's good or bad.
Right. So basically, what we're saying is, if you murder one of our brothers, we take it personal. We might not have known that brother personally, but the murder of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we take that extremely personal in the UPK. We hate to see our brothers being murdered, right? You murder them, it's like you've murdered us, right? If you do it to the least, it's like you've done it unto me, right? You shoot a brother in the neighborhood, in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, it's like you shot us. We go outside and preach and teach that we have to love each other. We need brotherhood, right?
That's
Um,
right.
what do I got next? Officer Shariwan, can you get me John 15 and 12, Brother Prashad?
The book of John, chapter 15, and verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Right.
Ye
So
are my
the Lord is telling you, hold that right there. The Lord is telling you, right? We have to love one another how Christ loved us. Christ literally died for us. He was murdered
That's
for
right.
us. Okay? Some oppressors strung him up to a tree. They stabbed him with a spear, and he was killed. That's how you have to love your brothers. You have to be willing to die for your brothers. Now let's
That's right.
just think about the ghetto. You have a neighborhood that has about 300 people, and all 300 people are saying, you can't come through here and kill somebody. You can't sell drugs in this community. You can't commit adultery in this community. Right? That is love. Right? Those brothers saying, no, 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 no. Yeah, the police aren't policing the neighborhood like they're supposed to, so we're out here watching to make sure no one's doing anything to us that they're not supposed to. Hey, shalom to
That's
Nick Che. Not sure if you're a brother or a sister, but shalom to Water for tuning in. Right?
Salakia.
God.
And if I may, I've been watching that story from that brother in, I think, Nashville, right? In the
God.
ISUPK, what people don't understand is that the men and the women that are raised in here, the men that are raised for warfare in this truth, like we're willing to die for this truth. You saw that brother stand up to what 20 different people from some fake Israelite camp, and
Right.
he doesn't care how they come at him. He's gonna speak his mind. He's gonna tell them the truth. You know what I mean? He rebuked his brothers. Anybody listening and paying attention, he's correcting that brother. You know what I mean? He's telling them to act right.
Right.
He's telling them how to follow the Most High. You know what I mean? He doesn't care if, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if 20 people jump you for this truth. It doesn't matter if somebody puts a gun to your head for this truth. You know what I mean? We got to be willing to love for our brothers and sisters till death. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what Christ did. That's exactly what he taught
Right.
us. You know what I mean?
That's so heavy that you bring it out because I was watching that video. Them purple, them purple effeminates, they decided to, they thought they were gonna try and bully a man's war. Newsflash: this is One West, no cowards to the death. It's One West to the death. You can't bully us. You can't make us fear nothing but the Most High. You're not gonna make us pack up camp, right? Yesterday, right after camp, yesterday, right after camp,
Gmail.com.
the hordes of Christians tried to surround us and beat scriptures on us. We ain't fear none of that. They ain't gonna do nothing to us. The Lord is with us. We got angels over us, right?
That's right.
Just like in the time when Paul set up the schools, there was angels over the schools. There's angels over every school in the UPK,
That's right.
right? But like you just gotta love your brothers and sisters the way the Most High loved us, man. Like the way Christ loved us. Christ died for us. Like how many brothers do you know? Newsflash. Brothers and sisters, I hope the brothers and the sisters in the world get to see this, right? You don't You don't know what brotherhood is, right? One
That's
second. Give me
right.
1 second. You don't know what brotherhood is. Everybody in your gang, everybody in your clique, everybody that's squad, gang, G'd up, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you're saying up or down to, they're gonna turn on you. They're not gonna die for you. I'm just painting it real, man. Like, yo, if you don't understand this right now, they're not dying for you. Like, I don't know how many times I can say this. They're not dying for you. They might throw you some canteen money every once in a while you're in jail. You want to know what else they're going to be doing? They're going to be sleeping with your baby moms while you're in jail, right? While you're doing that 25, while the guard is waking up in the morning saying, I can't wait to go search that brother's cell, while you're being woke up by a loud bang of your cell door and someone screaming out their hatch, morning search, and the oppressor's telling you to bend over and cough in the shower, those same brothers in your gang are going to be sleeping with your baby mother,
Right.
right? That's what's happening in these streets. You don't have brotherhood. You don't know what it's like. Go ask your brothers right now. Will you die for me? Right? Shayuan, Baba Kasha, ask me a question. Ask me if I'll die for you.
Salakia, I already know you would.
What question? I won't even think about it. You should know how that goes,
Damn right.
right? And that's UPK. That's one West, right? Salakia, Officer Shayuan, can you drop the sign out links, Baba Kasha?
God, no sweat.
Right? And for any one of my brothers in all black or in a colorful headband, that's UPK one West to the death. For any one of my brothers that got oil poured on their head, we're willing to give up our life for that brother. If me and Shar you want to fight, it's gonna be about, or me and Urad fight, it's gonna be about who takes the bullet. We're gonna be
Damn right.
fighting each other over who gets shot. Nah, Shariwan, you can't take it. I'll take it for you. Officer Urad's gonna say, La Azabajan, I'm taking it.
Hey, damn right, man. Damn right. Damn right.
That is brotherhood. That is the only thing that's gonna save us.
Damn right.
Right? Was that the end of the verse?
Salakia, that was the end of verse 13.
Read 14, Baba Kasha.
God. This is John chapter 15 and verse 14. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you.
Right.
You are not a friend of the Most High if you're going against His commandments. Wanting to kill your brother is going against the Most High's commandments. It's that simple. You can't get around it. Right? Someone bring me to. Wait, Officer Shayuan, read 14 one more time.
God. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you.
Thou shalt not kill.
Whatsoever I command you.
So you have it right there. The Lord commanded us not to kill our brother. You are his friend if you're going out to kill your brother. Right? Okay, shalom, sis. Shalom, sis. Throughout for tuning in. We got more classes. We got a history class tomorrow and a brotherhood class on Tuesday. Right? All at 7 p.m. Start on this same channel. Throughout for tuning in.
That's right. Shalom, sis Yal Shamar Alatha Bashim Al Shai.
Right.
Definitely check out our classes. We got classes, what, 6 days? 6 days a week?
We got classes in the Canada specifically. It's about 6 days, 5 days of the week. UPK in general, we got classes every day, and there's over 2,000 videos you can watch online. Right? If you want some entertainment, if you want some knowledge in your If you want some knowledge and you want some things that aren't being taught, we got classes every day. Right? Someone get me that Proverbs, Baba Kasha. That's the last one we're going to read for the night. I'll do the announcements. We'll do a quick courtesy salute and then the class. The water for the Akim for tuning in. I know it's been a long weekend, especially if you had to take a bus ride back to your city. But we love each other so much. Officer 5,000 Salakia, Officer 500 Ariyat, and young man Kavoy, they came all the way from Montreal to wake up brothers and sisters. Officer Sharyuan came, he went he made a long commute as well, right? So he could come and wake up our brothers and sisters. And that's brotherhood. That's how much we love. We go out on the street and we risk attacks in our lives to go wake up our brothers and sisters.
That's
We
right,
lose our
priest.
voices and we give anything we can to our brothers and sisters to make sure they're tuwab, which means good.
That's right.
Baba Kashad, someone read 17 and 17.
God. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 17 and verse 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
Right. So with brotherhood, we 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 defeat all problems with brotherhood. Right. You don't go through a problem by yourself with brotherhood. No man can walk up and just try to kill you with brotherhood. And I know blacks,
That's right.
Hispanics, and Native Americans, you chilling in the courts and the alleyways of your neighborhood, a man coming up to start shooting at you, and all your brothers gonna start shooting. You think that that's what this means, right? But that's not. What you gotta understand is that you gotta tell your brothers and sisters from the get go. Listen, you can't even be in that alleyway. But if you're righteous and you're keeping the Most High's laws, no one can come up and try to harm you. Because I'm willing to give my life to protect you. A lot of times, and Salakia, I don't remember who exactly brought this up. I think it was Officer Sharjuan in his last class. He talked about trying to save the unrighteous. Your brother
God.
is selling drugs and he's in an alleyway and someone tries to come up and kill him and you pull out a gun and you try to defend that brother. You might be stopping what the Lord has in store for that brother to come into the school. That's
Right.
unrighteous. You gotta
That's right.
you gotta teach your brother from the get go. You can't be unrighteous, right? You can't have that gun that's unregistered. You can't be selling drugs. You can't be sleeping with that brother's wife, his rib, right? And once you're not doing that and keeping the laws, if anybody tries to do something to you, they have to do it to me as well. Read that one more time, Baba Kashan.
God. Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a
Right.
brother is born for adversity.
Right. So a brother is going through adversity because the righteous brother, he's gonna stand with you, right? You try to kill my brother, you gotta kill me too, right? If my brother's breaking the law, I'm gonna chastise him and tell him you're breaking the law. You gotta give that shit up. Don't expect me to give up my life because you're breaking the law. I'm not gonna stop the Most High's promise, His curses, right? I know that might sound harsh, but that's the only way we're gonna change our community. If you're tired of police harassing you every second, you're tired of ducking gunshots, you're tired of loading up guns and walking outside with them on your person just so you can go to the store, you gotta get an ISUPK,
Right.
right? So with that said, I'm Officer 50 Zabaja of the ISUPK. We're gonna end this class just a little early tonight. To water for tuning in, everybody who tunes in. If you want to be if you want to be a sister in the school or a trooper in the school, hit one of the sign-in links. Salakia. Hit the sign-in link so you could be a brother or a sister in the school, get you a Hebrew name, and get this brotherhood. In this school, we don't go through oppression. We are not oppressed in this school.
That's
Right.
Because we have brotherhood. We don't worry about being shot to death in this school because we have brotherhood. If you're going through any problems, you could always contact a brother and there's someone there to counsel you. Right? So with that said, we're going to go ahead and end the class. I'm going to give the announcements. And then we're going to give a quick courtesy salute to the brothers and sisters. Salakia. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started on the 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. Salakia. One moment. They are off limits for 6 months. If a brother or sister, they are off limits for 6 months, they are to be saluted only. They are here to show themselves to the world. If a brother or sister needs transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to his brother or sister. There's another 6 months. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3 verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashara, which means 10% of every penny the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Up and coming holy convocations. The next up and coming holy convocation is the 52nd annual Passover. It will be hosted in Houston, Texas. It's under Commanding General YAHANNA. From April 22nd to April 25th, we'll be having the Passover. You can check isupk.com, I.S.U.P.K Canada on Facebook and Instagram, as well as our Twitter for any up and coming information on the Passover and the itinerary for the Passover weekend. Reminder to check isupk.com. Anybody who wants to be a trooper in the school, for the brothers, hit the sign-in link. Start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, and headband. Sisters, if you want to be a sister in the school as well, hit the sign-in link and tune in for class. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and the sisters. Men of Israel, I.S.U.P.K. We're going to give a quick courtesy salute to the brothers and the sisters. Men of Israel, I.S.U.P.K. Shabbat. I.S.U.P.K. Barak. Yahweh Bashem Yahshua. Men of Israel, Yadamata, which means hands down. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I.S.U.P.K. Shabbat. I.S.U.P.K. Barak. Yahweh Shema Bashem Yahshua. Yahweh Yamata, which means hands down. Class dismissed, clap it up.